everybody. Welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We're talking Terrebonne 200 and blending of cultures and a lot of good stuff coming up. A couple of big events that are coming up here. Chris Pulaski and Patty Whitney are here to talk about a Thursday, Saturday, two big events. So,
Right.
Chris, I should mention you're the planning committee chairman.
Yep.
So let's talk about what's going on.
So, the topic of culture is so big, we actually had to split it up into two presentations. So the first will be on Thursday, September 22nd at the main library from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. The Finding Our Roots African American Museum is a big partner in this, and Miss Margie Scobie, the executive director, has put together a great presentation and slideshow, We Are Terrebonne. And she's going to have folks on hand, also direct descendants of a lot of historical figures that have ties to Terrebonne Parish, including Frederick Douglass, Sally Hemings, Thomas Jefferson, and James Cage. So should be pretty interesting. And that's part one. So part two will actually be on Saturday, and that's where Miss Patty and the folks from the Terrebonne Genealogical Society will be there. So
Celebrating 40 years as well, right?
Celebrating our
For you
40th
guys, yeah.
anniversary. We're very accomplished and old. We've been publishing data and documents for 40 years. We will have our librarian there with our books available. We are very blessed. We did have
one of
some,
which
one
is
of
Seasons
which
by Life,
is, I put it here, is a special project this year undertaken by one of our members, Susan Cairo Dupree.
Can you hold that up a little
Where
bit?
would you like?
Yeah, right there, perfect, yeah.
She did a wonderful job with her team putting together a cookbook of historical recipes with little vignettes and stories of people and grandma's recipes, old
Nice.
historical recipes, and some histories of various organizations and places and all. And these will be available as well on Saturday. So Saturday, September 24th at the main library in Houma. The doors open at 10. The program will begin at 10:30 with an opening ceremony. I will do a presentation on the different ethnic groups who settled in the area. We're also going to have a gumbo that the Terrebonne
So
Genealogical
good, right?
Society is providing, gumbo to those who are attending. And we're going to have cake as well. And then we'll have our presentations throughout the day. So people may be hesitant to stay for the whole day, although they should, because
They
they'll
get
miss a
fed.
lot if they don't. But besides being fed, they'll feed their minds as well, and it'll be a full day. And we'll have the various presentations, the people I mentioned earlier doing their presentations. We're going to have people in costume for
nice.
various ethnic groups and cultures, which should be pretty interesting. Lots of exhibits. And we're going to have handouts, things to do, different items that'll make people think about history. And then finally at 4 o'clock, we're going to have a mini genealogical workshop
Nice.
on how to, and we'll start giving tours of the library. The Terrebonne Parish Library has graciously given us a map of the genealogy department that we can hand to people because it doesn't use the Dewey Decimal System. It has a different system if you
I
do
got you.
genealogy. So we're going to be giving tours and helping people get started with their family history.
We mentioned Barrow, and we'll take a look at some pictures that you brought. Barrow Street, we know, but this was his old plantation, Robert Ruffin Barrow.
He actually lived in this well, this was the first one. The one that's there currently now on East Park Street on the other side of the Intercoastal is the second one. So this one's not there any longer, but he was an interesting person. He was a very large landowner. He donated a lot of land for various things around Terrebonne Parish. Very diverse history.
And then we had some other pictures. This is downtown Houma. And just go through them, Jennifer. if you
This
don't
is the
mind.
corner
Yeah.
of Church Street and Main Street, looking towards Thibodeau. The Knights of Pythias Hall is the tower on the right. It was called the Pythias Castle. It was a benevolent society, and that's Fabregas. This is the old Desroches syrup mill in Montague or Bislin in that area. These are just some pictures that we've been putting together, hundreds and hundreds of
And you're
pictures.
going to try and digitize all of them.
Bayou History Center has a project for digitization. This is looking towards the courthouse on Main Street. Around 1910, it's been colorized. The Knights of Pythias on the left backs up to
Right, the
Bayou
other way,
Terrebonne.
yeah.
You see the courthouse oak trees on the far right.
A lot smaller than they are now.
That's the Knights of Pythias Hall there. It became the post office at one time. as well, and now it's, well,
Yeah, you could
Fabregas.
see Fabregas in that.
Yeah,
in there.
Yeah, you sure can.
And of course, the La Petite would be right to the side of that. So, interesting. This is a picture of Bayou Terrebonne, and that's the Church Street Bridge in the background, which Church Street Bridge was actually the first steel
See, honey,
bridge.
is he shooting?
It
something?
looks like it.
He got his dog out there.
Hope he's not shooting the dog.
I put a few of Main Street. This is how Main Street was starting to develop.
Right.
And I wanted the same pictures so you could kind
Now
of
you
see,
got automobiles,
you can
right.
place what's where and all. And we're lucky to have, this is Dancing the Shrimp with dried shrimp once the holes were dried. This was things that the people from the Philippines, the early Filipino settlers, taught the people here how to dry shrimp, how to build houses on stilts to avoid flooding. The Acadians didn't know any of that. That was not their lifestyle before. This is the Park Street Bridge before it had a big, if you remember the dual bridges before
Yeah.
what we have currently. It had the big elevator hood on top. This was before it had the big hood over
You see
it.
how tight the intercoastal was, which
Yeah.
is
And so-
expanded over time too.
Yeah, there's some old pictures that tell the history of Terrebonne, and I put together 2 big poster boards that'll be available at the library with lots and lots of pictures, hopefully with details of who are in the pictures
Yeah.
and when it's from.
So interesting, and again, yeah. So we learn about our past to kind of help our future, right?
And you start to recognize faces. You can say,
Oh, and names.
well,
I
they
see
tell us that all the
now,
time.
right?
You're a Whitney. I know you're a Whitney.
Oh, Patty and Chris, thank you guys so much. We'll see y'all this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with more Bayou Time.